So here we have it, the man of the hour. I want you guys to paint this picture, okay? You wake up in the morning, you go to the MLB network, okay? You entertain the viewers. Then at night, you go to Yankee Stadium, and then every other night, I'm assuming you go to WFAN 660. I mean,
Something
the
like that.
lifestyle. Please welcome Keith, the good-looking bastard that you are. McPherson, how are you, baby?
Eddie, what's up, man? Thanks for having me. Thanks for the compliments, the good intro. Happy we could connect and go live and chop it up for a little bit today.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I was with my boy John Anthony and former Yankee Jim Lehrer. It's around 11 o'clock at night. We're going to a cigar lounge in Soho, but we put on the 66 AM. You know, we're sports nuts like you. And Jimmy's like, hey, who the hell is this guy? This guy's got great point of view. I'm like, yo, listen, this guy's special because I've been listening to you in the past couple of days. And I was like, no, this guy's got great point of views, man. He's like, yeah, he's good. And then I see you and Joe Z McFly, whatever they call him.
Joe's, yeah.
Joe's.
That's my guy.
And
Joe's, Joez, which could be Joe Z, Joe S,
right.
but it's Joe's McFly.
So I see you at the stadium and I'm like, okay, yo, buddy, I emailed you. Why'd you big league me for? You're like, no, I'm not that guy.
No, I had to explain. I've
Right.
been, we're in my studio right now on my side. Like, I've been doing podcasts forever, and the podcast world is what got me into radio and television. In
Mm-hmm.
my humble opinion, like, if I don't do all the podcasts that I do, I don't get recognized, I don't get noticed. But when I did start doing radio and TV, I wanted to lock in and, give my best to those platforms and not be on a podcast. So I went on a podcast hiatus. I didn't do a podcast from April until now. I think this is the first guest podcast that I have done, or guest show that I've done outside of my own radio and television stuff. So, yeah.
Wow. Let's turn back the clock a little bit. I want to know your history. I want to know what made you do this, your success. Okay, so obviously you were a former athlete, right?
Yeah, so I played sports growing up. I played everything. I played football, basketball, baseball. Football was my best sport. Football is just like, I don't know, I think it was just easiest to play. Go outside, you bring the ball out. There's guys out there, you line up. You could play, 4-on-4. You didn't need 11-on-11. And then in my town, by the time I was like 11 or 12, they started putting me at quarterback, and I was good in Pop Warner. And then people were like, hey, you're going to be varsity quarterback. I ended up starting varsity by the time I'm a sophomore. And then you start hearing things about, hey, if, you keep working, you can go to college and get a scholarship and play football at the next level. So I was obsessed with that. 14, 15, 16 years old. By the time I was 17, I got a couple of scholarship offers from like Hofstra, Delaware, the Atlantic 10 division back then. And then it turned into CAA, and I took a scholarship offer to James Madison University, played there for 2 years, and then I transferred back home to Jersey to Monmouth University, where I decided to really focus on my major, which was communication, radio, television, and then I ended up graduating from there.
So this picture right here, this was you in high school?
Yeah, so that's I don't know, that's I think that's from a playoff game.
Right.
Ocean Township High School, wearing that number 8. Shout out to Kenny Pickett, who's the backup quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Same high school, same number. And I feel like I blazed the trail 10 years before Kenny. My coaches had me as like a top recruit to see how that whole thing goes with recruiting and visits and colleges coming. And yeah, I had a good run, man. I'm proud of what I did in high school and college, but I rarely throw it out there as if I was the man, or I'm not one of those glory days kind of guy like, hey, let me tell you about how great I was in high school or college.
Right.
I just feel blessed that I was able to use my athletic ability to get a scholarship to go to school and get a degree.
Yeah, but hold on a minute. You weren't just average at quarterback in high school, man. You got like 29 running touchdowns. You got like 16 throwing touchdowns your career in high school. So pretty much, were you like a Randall Cunningham type of guy?
Randall Cunningham's definitely a guy that, when I was younger, I learned about. He was one of the first. But yeah, dual threat quarterback was the title. And, I went to the Penn State Combine. I ran a 4.5. And then I went to a couple other combines and workouts and 7-on-7s. And Just, showed off my arm and my legs. And yeah, I scored a bunch of touchdowns in high school. It didn't really translate to college so much. College is a different beast. But in high school, I dominated. We won the state championship my senior year. And yeah, I had a good run.
So, what made you pick James Madison University out of all the schools that you were recruited or you were interested in? What was it? A campus?
That was definitely a big part of it. 70% girls on campus. But when JMU was recruiting me, they had just won the national championship in 2005. So I'm looking at them as like the USC of 1AA. I had some 1A offers. Back then it was 1AA, 1A as far as Division One, not FCS or FBS like it is now. So, I had an offer from Temple. I think I also had an offer from Buffalo and one other small Division One A school. But JMU was up and coming. They had a new turf field being installed and renovations to their stadium and a new athletic performance center where, as a football player, you're going to spend your days lifting in there, eating lunch in there, study hall, practice, everything, weight room, chill rooms to, play video games, watch TV. And it was a brand new center called the APC, the Athletic Performance Center. So I was sold. I took my trip down there in December, my official visit. And then I ended up not taking any other official visits because I had such a good time partying down there. I had such a good time looking at the campus and like seeing myself there as a young 17-year-old kid that I didn't take any other offers. I was like, okay, JMU is the way I'm going.
All right, yeah, well, that's awesome. I like the 70% girls part. Yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah, for me, it was like I hadn't even heard about the school, right? I'd heard of, I'd been to Rutgers, heard about Penn State, heard about these big schools, but JMU was like one of the best kept secrets on the East Coast back then. This is 2006, 2007. And I remember going down there to visit, and I'm like, man, I didn't even know this school existed. You hear about Virginia Tech, UVA. I was recruited by UVA too and went down there. But when I went to JMU, I'm like, this school is the school for me. It was for about 3 semesters. And, being a student, athlete, party animal, DJ, just being all wrapped up in the campus life, I ended up realizing that it wasn't the place for me. And I wanted to get closer to home, go back home. Virginia, it's not that far from New Jersey, but the culture shock for me after a while being in Virginia versus New Jersey, there's just a lot of different customs and food and people and thoughts and things. I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go home after my my 3rd semester. I ended up transferring in my 4th semester, my spring of my sophomore year.
Wow, James Madison, huh? And they
The
must have
Fighting
loved you
Dukes.
because, you're from the Northeast, like, New Jersey, New York, the same thing, right? They loved you. They're like, hell yeah, who is this guy, right?
Of course, the accent. I don't even think I have an accent, but I remember down there, they're like, say water, say coffee.
Right.
Just having a different style, different swag. It's funny. I remember back then I was wearing skinny jeans, and skinny jeans weren't in yet. And then, 10 years later, I have guys that I went to school with. They're like, yo, we used to clown you for wearing those skinny jeans. You were ahead of the curve. You knew the style. And I'm like, yeah, I was coming from New York. I'm coming from New Jersey. I'm coming from the North. You guys down South, you guys are country bumpkins. You don't dress like we dress. But yeah, it was.
We know fashion, man. New York City, man. It's Fashion Avenue.
We got style. We got style that they're not even privy to. Even I remember back then coming home and hearing Hot 97 and the music that was being played, and then going down there with my music that I would download off of, I don't know, LimeWire or Kazaa. And they were like, what songs are these? Never heard these songs. I'm like, these are the songs that they're playing on the radio in New York City right now that they're not playing down here in the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia.
Right. They used to like Garth Brooks, Hank Williams Jr., right? They play that stuff.
Or they're playing like outdated hip hop that's like 10, 15 years old.
So now when you graduated from college, welcome to the unemployment roll, right? We all went through that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now we all know communication major, journalism major, very, very hard to get in. The beginning, there's not that much pay. Go ahead, give me what you had to sacrifice through. Talk to me.
So for me, I graduated in 2011, and I interviewed nowhere. I applied everywhere. I sent cover letters, resumes, uh, any person that I could even try and network with. I reached out to. Um, was looking for any leads. Just had nothing. I don't really come from a family with connections, and I just felt like I was, striking out, getting out of college with no help, no leads, and nowhere to go. So I was, I mentioned I DJ'd. I was a DJ. I started DJing in high school, and then I got my own equipment in college. And luckily, I had that in my back pocket. I just was making money doing private events, whether it be, someone's birthday party or graduation party. Also, DJing, emceeing in different bars and clubs in the Jersey Shore area. That kind of kept me afloat. And then I ended up getting a job at Guitar Center. But, right out of college, nothing. Just kind of, couch surfing. I live with my mom a little bit, live with my now wife, but my wife was still in school. She graduated a little bit after me, stayed with her and her friends, and just was like applying to jobs, trying to figure it out, DJing, working in the bars, promoting, and emceeing. And then the Guitar Center gig was my last, I think, gig in the Jersey Shore area. And there was a tryout or an audition for what was called the MLB Fan Cave in 2014.
I did that
And
actually. You know that, right?
yeah, I think I heard
20,
that.
2012.
I heard that and I knew that, and I remember seeing you there, and I never got the chance to bring that up to you, but best time to do that is here. And
Yeah.
recently I Googled your name and the MLB Fan Cave. There only has been 3 Yankees fans in the Fan Cave. The Fan Cave was 2011 to 14, 4 years. This other guy, Mike.
The season 1 guy, right? Mike something?
Yes,
Yeah.
season 1 was Mike something as a Yankee fan. It was just him and another Orioles fan, and I think you were with a bunch of other
Yeah, there
fans.
was like 9 of us. I don't know why they did
Right.
that.
And there was 8 of us when I was in there. But yeah, for me, once I got in the Fan Cave, that was the first thing I could put on my resume as like working for a real company or an
Right.
official, gig.
So when you got the MLB Fan Cave, after that, what happened? Did you have any agents that you signed with?
God is my agent. I was just blessed, man. I'll tell you how exactly it connected. When you're in the Fan Cave, I think most of the guys I was with and girls I was with, they knew it was a networking opportunity. You got players, you got celebrities, you got different executives, people that work in different brands and companies and businesses that come through the Fan Cave the whole year. And you try to shake hands, you try to, get contacts, but really you are just a part of the project. You are supposed to be watching the games, creating content, and focused on that. And that's what I did, really. I'm a wild sports fan. I was in there watching the games and on social media. But I remember applying to a bunch of jobs, and the season ended in October, and I went back from New York to New Jersey to my mom's place down the shore in Neptune, New Jersey, and I was applying to more jobs. So for about 5.5 months, I applied to jobs, didn't hear anything back. Like I think I applied to maybe 100 jobs during this time, right? So here we are again. I get out of college, I'm applying to jobs, hearing nothing in 2011. I get out of the Fan Cave, I'm applying to jobs in 2014, hearing nothing. But that's because I really didn't have any experience. I had 1 year of the MLB Fan Cave, which people looked at as like, what is that? What do you
Right.
do? But there was a young lady named Brittany Travis who worked at MTV2, and MTV2 hosted a show at the Fan Cave called Off Bat or Off the Bat.
Is that like
And
Fat Sal, I think?
it was Fat Joe,
Fat Joe,
Chris
sorry. Yeah.
Chris DiStefano, Melanie Iglesias, and Sway were the hosts. And it
Right,
was like a
right.
pop culture show. They bring, different artists in. Like I think like Asher Roth came by, Yo Gotti, different like rappers and stuff, and then different baseball players. But Brittany Travis was she was the head of the social media department for MTV2. She
Mm-hmm.
was like the, main person, the director of social media at MTV2. And I applied to a job at MTV2. And I'm telling you, it was between MTV2 and Home Depot. Like I was this close to working at the Home Depot down the street from my mom's place. And then I took the interview to MTV2 with just, myself and Brittany. She liked what I brought to the table to be the new social media coordinator in 2015. And then I went to the second round of interviews. I met the big bosses and I passed that, and they offered me the job. And that was February going into March, and then I started working at MTV March 23rd, 2015. So baseball started and I had a gig, right? I spent, the 2014 season in the MLB Fan Cave, and then I spent 2015 working at MTV, MTV2, right in Times Square, the Viacom building that everyone sees where, TRL used to be filmed, 1515 Broadway.
Right.
I was blessed to get into that situation.
But when you say Home Depot or that, was it because Home Depot gave you more pay and benefits or no?
No, it's because I was striking out and 5 months had gone by and they paid us well in the fan cave. But I just remember that feeling of that money running out. I just remember that
Ah,
feeling of like, okay, this money was sitting there and I keep eating away at it because I'm not making anything. And the dream was to get back into New York, right? The dream was, okay, you just spent 8 months in New York working and living. You're down in the Jersey Shore, try and get a job back in the city. And I was striking out. I wasn't getting any responses. The only response that I got back was from MTV2. And that was because Brittany Travis says to me when I meet her, she's like, I remember seeing you in the fan cave. I remember your energy. I remember how you interacted with people. She's like, when I saw your resume come across with only MLB Fan Cave on the top, I went back and looked at who everyone was in there. And she's like, I think you'll be perfect. You were the DJ in the fan cave. It's MTV. It's music television. The fan cave was all about sports and pop culture. MTV2 had a lot of sports and pop culture and stuff that was just directed at, the younger male demographic. So I was able to land that gig. And, I don't even know what I would have been doing at Home Depot. I was going to take an entry level job at whatever they wanted me to do because I just was trying to get off the couch. I was just trying to not be in my mom's crib every day.
right.
My mom's going out to work and coming home and I haven't left. And it's like, what have you been doing all day? Like I've applied to 15 jobs today, wrote cover letters and sent my
It's
resume
not
and
like you're
reached out
not
to
doing
people.
anything. You know what I mean? Like you're
Nah,
busting your ass. Mom, come
never.
on, be in my
Yeah,
shoes.
never not doing anything. I'm trying
Right.
to get out of here. I'm trying to get to the next step, but it wasn't that easy. So, clock was ticking. And I remember it was like, hey, when March comes, March 1st, you have to have a job. And that doesn't matter and it doesn't matter if it's at Home Depot pushing carts or if it's in New York City, if this connects. And I was doing the interviews in late February. It ended up connecting in early March. I remember I was down to like my last like $500, $600 before I got into MTV. I remember that first check. I remember wanting that first check to hit. And it didn't hit after my first 2 weeks because there was some type of like, how the business is with like getting you in the system. It was like, oh, you'll get paid on the next pay period. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh my,
It's that
I'm like,
cycle.
you know
You
how
gotta wait
much
a
it,
month.
you know how much it costs to even commute up here every day? Like, I
Right.
need that bread. I need the money.
Yeah. But here's the thing when I tell people, because I really feel your energy. A lot of people tell me I have great positive energy wherever I go. And just think about it, that one person that
Yeah.
felt your energy, and I'm sure there were guys with resumes that were much more qualified than you.
Hmm.
But she said, you know what? This guy's special. I like him. I'm going to push for him. Think about
And
that.
that's why I always put her name out there. I don't keep in touch with her because like we never had like that close of a relationship, but she believed in me. And
Right.
I have a long list of people that believed in me and didn't believe in me. And she was someone that took a chance on me just because she laid eyes on me in the fan cave, right? So like she saw through the resume. The rest of the resumes might say someone has this job or this experience or this skill set, and she didn't know them. But when my resume came through, she's like, wait, I know who this is. I've seen this
Right.
person. I didn't know that they had a college degree and, did this and whatever. Let's bring them in here. And I guess some other people went through interviews, but I made it to the second round and ended up being the guy. Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
The destiny that we're walking into is already written. And that's how I felt. I'm like, what are the chances that this lady, she only came to the fan cave once a week for maybe like 3 months of the show, but she caught wind of me. I never shook her hand in there. I never took her business card. We didn't meet until I met her in the Viacom building, but she knew who I was. So, it's been some years now, but I always make sure to put Brittany Travis's name out there because you never know, man. All it takes is one person to give you a shot. And, literally for me, the rest is history.
So after MTV, what happened? Did you get involved with John Boy Media or something like that?
Yeah, I could tell you exactly the route that connected me with John Boy and Joe's and Pinstripe Strong and Talking Nets and all of that. So I worked at MTV for almost 3 years, 2.5 years. And come on, am I freezing up again?
Yeah, keep talking. Don't worry about it.
So I worked at MTV from 2015 to 2017, 2018. And, I got to a point there where I realized I was doing a ton of work. I was having some success online. I was making waves for the channel, and they had moved me. I moved from MTV to also helping with some MTV properties, bigger properties. But I think I got a little bit of a raise, a little bit of a merit increase while I was there, but nothing substantial, nothing crazy. They weren't paying social media people that much back then because they just looked at us as like kids who were playing on the internet and not as valuable. Now they look at everything around social media as valuable, but I wanted out. I was over it. I wasn't making enough money and I didn't feel like I was getting the respect I deserved. And I finally now had what I didn't have when I was applying to jobs coming out of college and coming out of the MLB fan cave. I had some years of experience. Now I had 3 years of experience. If you add the fan cave to MTV, now I have a resume that says 2014, 15, 16, and 17. I've been working and I've been doing some things with some legit businesses, legit companies. So I quit. And I spent about a month driving Lyft Uber. That's when I first got into Lyft Uber. Saw a email promotion that said if you complete 500 rides in your first 30 days or something like that. Maybe not 500. Maybe it was 100. I can't remember now. I think it was 100. 100 rides in your first 30 days, get an extra $1,000. I was like, oh, I'm about to drive my ass off. I can do that. And I actually did it in 19 days because I went to the orientation and I didn't realize the clock started from the day you get your orientation that says you're good to drive. I kind of chilled on it. I think I might have did 1 or 2 rides, and then I realized, oh, I have 19 days. So what I was doing was driving Lyft, Uber, day and night. I would do it in the morning. I would come home and apply to jobs, and then I do it at night. So like I'm taking people to work, I'm taking people to school, I'm taking people to the gym, I'm taking people to wherever they got to go in the morning, and then I'm also catching people in the afternoon commuting home from those places. And a month went by and I got my job with Fubo TV. Fubo TV is a streaming platform that most of us know now because their commercials are everywhere. And I think everyone's at least tried a free trial of it. It's a streaming platform for sports fans. And when they hired me, I was their first social media manager, coordinator, anything in the States. They had some guys in Romania that did their social media because they originally started off as a soccer streaming platform, Fubo, football. And they needed a guy like me with knowledge of American sports, Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, to kind of build their brand voice and attract customers that are interested in those sports. So I came in, I hit the ground running. I built up their Twitter, their Instagram, their Facebook. I did a lot of things. I ended up doing some voiceover work for them, some commercials for them, some just whatever I could do for marketing. Some, even some like customer service stuff, like talking to people online about their app and their experience. And I crushed it there. I loved it there. And I think I was like one of the first 100 employees. I think I was like 80 something hired at that startup, and they're huge now. But while I was there, I got a DM, well, not a DM, a direct message, sure, on LinkedIn from a young lady that worked at Rock Nation. I'm a music guy, I'm a sports guy, and like, who doesn't have respect for Jay-Z? So when Jay-Z comes calling, you go take that interview. And I took that interview, and they were offering me more money than I was making and a better role. My role at Rock Nation that I took, I ended up leaving Fubo in about 9 months working there. Didn't even get to a year. But I took a job at Fubo as a digital marketing manager, managing and creating social media for Rock Nation Sports Agency. So I'm in the building with rappers, athletes. I'm in the middle of their sports agency. Their agents are not far. And I'm working with guys like Saquon Barkley, Geno Smith. I'm talking to these guys, CJ Prosise, Ronnie Stanley, Melvin Ingram, Leonard Fournette. I'm talking to these guys every day. Hey, Gatorade needs you to post this ad at 2:00 Let's go over the copy. I'm going to schedule it. It's going to go out for you. Okay, Under Armour would like to see you post a story wearing their gear that they sent you. We got to get that done. Okay, here's the contract. You signed it. Send it back to me. I'll get that all squared away. How else can we bolster the Rock Nation sports agency brand and image? Posting about our athletes, posting about different things. That was a great gig for me, but it only lasted 3 months because at that time, you mentioned John Boy. This is the summer of 2018. I'm watching guys like John Boy, Jake emerge in what we call Yankees Twitter. I'm watching guys like Joe's McFly, who had went viral the year before, start his brand and start his podcast and start his coverage of the Yankees. And at this point now, I know how to edit videos. I'm well-versed in social media.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still going to the stadium, right? I'm still getting out of work at Rock Nation. One day I remember I got out of Rock Nation, got on the bus, took the bus from Port Authority down to Philly to see the Yankees play at Citizen Bank Park, came back that same night. Like I was already, doing that type of stuff. And I wasn't feeling the job at Rock Nation as much after the first.
Yeah, so your gut told you got to quit Rock Nation.
Yeah, I think I turned 30 that summer.
Mm-hmm.
And I just saw people making it happen on their own. I saw people using the internet to, get known, to be seen, to create their own brands. And I had all the tools to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had all the social media skills behind the scenes. And then I already had like the sports knowledge and the fandom. I was already going to the games. I already had the MLB fan cave on my resume, Fubo TV on my resume. When Rock Nation wasn't working out for me, I just was ready to get out of there. I wasn't feeling the job anymore. And I just had a feeling like, Keith, if you quit this job, you have to go for it because you worked at you quit MTV, you worked at a job for 8 months, you left there for this job. And if you quit this job after 3 months, it's on you, bro. Like, can't keep hopping around. Can't keep, you're ruining your own resume, skipping from place to place. You got to figure out what you want. And I knew I wanted to be like my own boss in a sense. I knew that I wanted to be the guy that was reaping the benefits for my own social media work. Like, it kind of sucked. It sucked making like popular videos or like managing social media accounts anonymously after a while. Like when I first got into it, I was like, oh, this is super cool to be able to control, these big accounts at MTV, to grow an account at Fubo TV, to be behind an account of a professional athlete. I thought that was cool until I realized, like, no, you now can take that knowledge and that skill set you have and put it into yourself. Build your own brand, be who you are, and see what comes from that. And that summer, I got a camera. I remember I just went to Coachella for the first time. I bought a like vlogging camera to just start, recording myself going to the games and trips that I took. And then I would edit videos and put them out. And not long after that, right, that season, I was unemployed. I was doing that off of like, I don't know. I think that time, that's when I first collected unemployment. I remember it was funny, like hearing about people collect unemployment in 2020 during the pandemic. And I had started collecting unemployment for the first time in 2018. But then by the time 2020 came around, I was good. And I was like, I don't have to tap back into that. But yeah, I was down, man. I was collecting unemployment. I was doing freelance social media work. I ended up working for this company called Transition SE, Transition Sports and Entertainment. They worked with different athletes. I did some like videography, photography, and some, social strategy stuff for them. But I was building my own brand. Every day I was shooting videos in my apartment. I set up my own set. You can't really see this whole set, but I used to have one of these like in my living room that looked like a set, like 10 feet wide.
Mm-hmm.
And, if I had a hot take on something that happened in the NFL, or, I remember I did a rant on Miguel Andujar losing Rookie of the Year to Shohei Ohtani. I put that stuff out there and people started following me a little more. And, we rolled into the 2019 season. I did my first podcast with Bronx Pinstripes, called George's Box. And I did 30 episodes of that, daily, one episode a week through the season. And no, we're frozen again.
Keep talking. Don't worry about it. It's your stream. Keep
Okay.
going. Yeah.
I did that, and it actually had some success. There was thousands of downloads, and I started to see my followers increase. during the 2019 Yankees season doing that podcast, but I did that for free. I did that out of fandom. I did that trying to help build the Bronx Pinstripes brand. But when I realized, like, you know, they weren't going to pay me and it wasn't my brand to build, I didn't own it. I was like, all right, I'm going to go my own way. And I had already made friends with John Boy, Jake, Joe's McFly. It was like, you know, all the guys that were in Yankees Twitter that would show up to the stadium kind of knew each other. And I was one of those guys. The Yes Network had picked me up in 2019. I shot 2 commercials with them, one in September to celebrate the Yankees going to the postseason, and then one in December celebrating the Yankees getting Garrett Cole. It was called Fandom Acts of Kindness, where I'm just running around the streets in New York looking for Yankees fans, giving them free swag, free merch, hats, jerseys, book bags, koozies, you know, just like having fun with stuff like that. And not long after that, I remember saying to John Boy, hey, if you need a guy, I'm a free agent, right? You know, I did some stuff with the Yes Network. I did some stuff with Bronx Pinstripes, but I'm still unemployed. I still was applying to jobs during that time because I was kind of, you know, on the fence. I'm like, okay, I could go back to the social media world and get my little desk job and hide behind someone else's social media and make $75,000 a year. Or I can, like, you know, struggle a bit here and build a foundation for something, which, you know, here we are now. But I'm like, I wasn't sure which one I wanted to do. And I remember getting with John Boy, and John Boy had seen my resume and what I could do, and he gave me a shot. He gave me an opportunity to join them first as an intern because the company wasn't big. Like, the company wasn't even hiring people yet. They had just started letting people know that, like, John Boy Media is a company. And I went from being intern to, in like, I think 2 months, January, February, March. By March, I was a full-time social media manager, helping John Boy on the back end set up all his social channels that you see today. And that YouTube channel is huge. I helped build that. I helped build Talking Yanks. I helped build Talking Baseball. And then John Boy gave me my own brand to build, which was Talking Nets, a Brooklyn Nets podcast. And then I joined Joe's McFly on Pinstripe Strong, which was a Yankees podcast under John Boy Media. And I rolled with them for 2 years, 2019 into 2020 and some of 2021.
Look at you. Look at the sacrifice you went through. See, and that's what I tell people. You know what it is, Keith? That's what I tell people, man. This is not overnight success, man. It's probably overnight success 10 to 15 years to do what you love to do and get paid at the same time. Look what you went through.
Yeah, and when I say, like, struggle, like, people don't realize, like, struggle is like not being able to go out and eat dinner for months. Struggle is not being able to buy yourself new sneakers when you want. Right. Struggle is like looking at your significant other and you're budgeting every dollar to get by, but your wife is trusting you. Not my, you know, we were boyfriend and girlfriend, then engaged, and now husband and wife. But, like, you know, my wife had to go through that too, but she believed and trusted, like, he's not going to rest until he's successful. Like, you know, my wife was with me in college. She sat in some of the same classes. She was a communication PR major. She heard some of my lectures. She probably helped me with some papers and some things too. She knew that I wasn't going to stop until I won. And she was the one that actually said to me, hey, you know, you do all of this vlogging and podcasting and stuff to build your brand, but then on the other end, you're trying to interview and apply to jobs to get back into social media. I'll give you 2 examples of the straws that broke the camel's back. I interviewed in early 2019 at Foot Locker and Major League Baseball for social media positions. I got through 2 rounds of interviews at Foot Locker, was telling everybody I'm in there. Like, right after so long not being able to buy sneakers, now I'm going to have a discount at Foot Locker. I'm going to be the social media manager for Foot Action, I think it was, but it's under the same company of Foot Locker. They ghosted me. Didn't hear anything from them. Okay. So then I got another opportunity with Major League Baseball. I had already worked at the Fan Cave. I already had some connections in the building. I had already been in the building. And they were hiring for a player social media coordinator, basically someone that could help the players do their social media better, because for years, all we heard was, oh, these guys don't market themselves the right way. Oh, Major League Baseball needs to do more so that these players are seen, so that their personalities are seen. I interviewed there. I thought I was going to get it, man. I brought a brand new suit, cut my hair, was like cleaned up for the interview. And that was February of 2019, or February of 2018. And they ghosted me too. And I have friends in the building. And I'm like, I don't need any more signs. And my wife said, stop confusing the universe. I'm a big universe guy. I feel like, universe never unconnects. Everything is written. We are already like, who we're supposed to be. We just got to walk into our own destiny. Some people miss it because they're afraid to jump. They're afraid to take that leap. But my wife said to me, she's like, stop confusing the universe. Do you want to go back to your corporate job, or do you want to be somebody out here that can make money off of yourself, your brand, your face, your voice? And I was like, I want the latter, right? Like I did the corporate world for about 4 or 5 years in New York City, working at a desk cubicle with 5 bosses and people telling you what to do from the time you wake up and go to sleep.
And you're miserable at the same time.
Was miserable most of the time. Was miserable most of the time. Long days, long commutes. And I was commuting from Neptune, New Jersey to Times Square every day. That's a 2-hour commute. 4 hours, like 2 hours there, 2 hours back. When I really was chasing after it. So I got to the point where I was like, all right, I got to bet on myself. I drove Lyft Uber. I worked at a restaurant. I borrowed money from people, but I was hustling. I was grinding, and I was making connections, and I was shaking hands with people. And anywhere free that I could be, like if there was like an Aaron Judge did this like Oakley event at the Oakley store in the middle of Manhattan, and it was free for whoever could get there. I just went there and covered it on my Twitter and my Instagram and just put myself in those spots. And with John Boy and John Boy Media, John Boy was blowing up in November of 2019 because we already had the Boone rant, the Savages in the Box rant go viral, but then the Astros cheating scandal video he did went super viral. I remember being with him in his first apartment in New York, in Harlem, and he's on the phone with Houston radio, right? Way before I even got on the radio, I'm sitting next to John Boy calling to Houston radio, and they're asking him, how'd he find out? Who tipped him off to this? What's it like building your own company? And we went out to lunch after that. Like I said, he gave me an opportunity to build Talking Nets, to also be on Pinstripe Strong, and to do some back-end social media with them. And next thing you know, we launched the Bronx office, and the pandemic hits, and everything changed after that.
Wow. So after John Boy Media, did you get the job with MLB Network first, or the Fan? You got the job.
The Fan.
So
the
you
Fan.
got the Fan.
Actually,
how did this happen with the Fan? That's what I want to know.
I mean, I've always been a fan of WFAN. Not a diehard fan, like listen to it all day, every day, but just respect for the fraternity of legends that have come out of there, and the pillar in New York City that WFAN is, and in just the sports world period, right? The first sports station that inspired all these other cities to come up with their fans and their sports stations. So the summer of 2021, I remember John Boy and Jake filled in for Moose and Maggie. They have the 10-2 slot last summer. And, man, I was so pumped. These are guys that I work with every day. These are guys that I helped along their way get to where they are. And they're taking over WFAN and making it sound like their podcast. It sounded like listening to them on Talking Yanks.
Right.
And I'm blown away. I'm like, man, I'm a radio major. Like, I went to school and was on Monmouth University radio 3 hours a day. I studied the platform. I studied, New York Market One radio. Like, I know how big this is. And then I think they did that, but, they had some conversations with WFAN about what the future would hold, and nothing really came to light. But Spike Eskin was hired, and Spike Eskin was new last summer. And Spike Eskin, I think, took a look at the John Boy Media roster, which included me, and WFAN is the home of the New York Yankees and the Brooklyn Nets. And if you look at the John Boy Media roster, Keith McPherson is the host of a Yankees podcast and a Nets podcast, a local kid that played football not far from New York City. You know what I'm saying? I think it just like made sense for Spike to reach out to me, and Spike did. And at first I wasn't sure. I had to go check his background. I'm like, who is this guy talking about a tryout at WFAN? So John Boy and Jake were on WFAN August 6th. I think maybe August like 18th or 19th, I went into the city and had lunch with Spike in Tribeca somewhere. And he asked if I wanted to come see the station. Of course, I want to see what WFAN looks like. And I'm dressed in full Yankee gear because it was a Red Sox Yankees doubleheader at the stadium. And as soon as we were done, I was going up there. But we ended up taking more time. I remember I met Craig Carton for the first time that day, and I was blown away. And I think Spike could tell how excited I was, how just like impressed I was. Like, I'm a kid, man. I'm never gonna lose that. I'm super excited to meet people, to see things in the sports world because I came from not much. Like I came from a 2-bedroom apartment, single parent household. My mom raising me, my brother, my sister. Like, so for me to get inside WFAN, I'm running around there like, yo, well, this is cool. Like, he gave me a tryout on August 25th of last summer. 3-hour tryout from 11 to 2. The Yankees were off. The Mets had lost to the Dodgers. I go in there completely blind. I go in there with my own idea of what I wanted to do on the radio. But, man, the calls from the Mets fans were going off the hook. They all wanted to complain about Taijuan Walker being pulled. The Yankees were on their winning streak last year. It was just a quick 3 hours of taking calls, talking sports. And the first thing I did was just give my background, right? Same way I kind of gave my background to you. I had a condensed version of like, this is who I am. This is how I got here. This is why I'm even here. Like, this is what I've done. I had to try and like qualify myself. And I didn't know. I thought, honestly, swear to you, I'm like, this is either one and done, or maybe they call me back for some like weekend or late night fill-ins. I worked at John Boy, right? I was full-time at John Boy. I was doing my podcast thing. I was not expecting a couple months to go by and WFAN to reach out and say, hey, actually, we're looking for you to be a full-time host here. Steve Summers is on his way out. Steve Summers is going to retire, and he's in the nighttime spot. We need a guy to fill the nighttime spot, and we're looking at you as that guy. In my head, I'm like, I have no experience. I'm not coming from.
So they had you on for 3 hours that day. That was your audition. You are shooting
August 25th.
You were shooting the shit with the fans. You told them who you are, and all of a sudden, after those 3 hours, they said, "Hey."
After those 3 hours, and then September, October, 2 months, and I had kept in touch with Spike, but Spike played everything close to chest, as he should have, and me too. I literally didn't know. People were asking me, "Hey, what's up with WFAN? When are they going to put you back on WFAN?" I remember Labor Day weekend. Not wanting to travel too far. I had text Spike like, hey, if you need a fill in, let me know. Because that's all, how like, all right, now when I'm not on, they have somebody fill in for me. Or when, guys on WFAN go on vacation, they have a roster of fill-ins. I thought I would just be in that group. I did not know that they were having internal conversations and reviewing my resume and my 3 hours on air and thinking about what I could be and what I could do. And, looking at my Nets podcast and my Yankees podcast, and figuring out that I could be the nighttime host. If somebody would ask me, I would have said it was less than a 25% chance. But I think it was just the timing, right? Steve Summers is 40 years older than me.
Legend, man. Legend.
Love Steve, know.
He's right here. Here's the picture right up there. You and him.
Yeah, I see it. Shout out to Steve, man. I was on my like faux honeymoon because I got married last summer, and the day after we flew out to the All-Star game. So my wife was like, when baseball's over, we got to go somewhere. And we ended up going to Puerto Rico because it was just quick and easy. But they called me while I was in Puerto Rico. And they're like, hey, man, we're going to drop the news. Like, Steve is ready to do his like final schmooze and drop the news that you'll be replacing him. You'll be the new nighttime host. And I'm like, I don't come back from Puerto Rico for like another 2 or 3 days. They're like, that's fine. We're going to drop the press release tomorrow. We'll have Craig and Evan call you. And like, we're going to start this thing promoting, like, you're going to be the guy. That was the first week of November. And then my first show was November 23rd. It all happened very quickly. And within my first 4 months on WFAN, December, January, February, March, I go down to spring training. I get on the mic with John and Susan. I do some content down there. And when I come back, I get an email from MLB Network. And MLB Network has a bunch of Mets fans and some Yankees fans, but WFAN fans. Like, they have people that were listening to the John and Susan broadcast, me jumping on with them. And they had a show called Off Base that was coming soon, right? Literally starting the first week of baseball, and
That's
they
it
had
right
a
there, right? That picture.
yes, sir.
Mhm.
They had a cast of three. They had a group of three hosts: Lauren Gardner, Xavier Scruggs, and Hannah Kaiser. And they asked me if I would like to audition and join them in rehearsal. So they had 2 rehearsal shows the week before opening day where I pulled up and they sat me in as a fourth to see, okay, we know how to threesome looks with these guys. Let's see what the group of 4 looks like. They like my energy. They like my takes. They like what I brought to the table, how I looked on camera. They put an offer out there, sign the offer. Opening day comes, we start the show. So now I have a nighttime WFAN New York radio show that streams nationally on the Odyssey app. And then during the day, I'm on a brand new show called Off Base, which is supposed to be targeting the younger audience. And it's supposed to be off base. We're not supposed to be talking about, batting average, FIP, uh, WAR all
Right,
day
right.
like some of the other guys. We're supposed to be having fun, talking about outfits and bat flips and cool things that we saw in the stands. And here we are now in September. I've been doing that since April, and I've been doing WFAN since November, and I can't complain about anything. Like it's all been a huge blessing. I feel honored to be a part of WFAN and MLB Network at the same time, and I just want to keep working. I just want to do more.
Right. Keith, let me ask you this. What did they ask you to do at the audition with MLB? What exactly did they ask you to do?
So, I mean, I remember getting there early, just being nervous, not knowing. I never was on a TV show. I think I had been on TV on Off Base or Off the Bat. It's funny, I'm on Off Base, and the show in the fan cave was called Off the Bat. I had been on some segments there, but never like a TV show where there are segments and the producers. So basically, the producers will give us a running show, and they'll
Mm-hmm.
say, "We're going to talk about this, this, this." And you got to give your take on this. You get, maybe 1 or 2 sentences on each topic, and we're just going to go around the horn with you guys. And that's all it was. They literally just produced like a show. It never hit air, but it was a rehearsal live on set. You're going to sit there, and it's going to go, LG will bring us in from commercial. X will give his opinion on something. Like, I don't know. I think they had us pick like who we thought was going to come out of the AL and NL and why. And we kind of debate that stuff, and we break down, our answers. And that's all they had me do. 2 days of like a faux show, like a fake show, a mock show. And I don't know. Like I said, I'm blessed, man. They liked what I did, and they added me to the group. And I feel blessed that now when I see off base, I'm like, that's my show, man. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want to miss too many shows. And I was the last one added. So
Wow, that's an amazing story, man. There's a
yeah,
reason why I wanted you on my show. I said, listen, I want your how. I when I interview, I'm usually with actors and athletes. That's my brand because I'm an actor and I know the athletes, their language, and I know the actors' language. And I went to the conservatory acting school. I know their language, So, but I said to myself, you know what? Let me. You're a former athlete. I consider you a former athlete. You're not in the NFL, but still, you're
played
in the
with some
sports
guys that are
world.
in the NFL.
Yeah, but you're in the sports world, and that's the key. And that's why the Fan is one of the biggest sports shows in the United States. It's like people from out of state. I'm sure people from out of state listen to you, right?
Yeah, they call.
Yeah.
And man, the combination of having the national reach of MLB Network and MLB Network tweeting me and putting my name out there and my clips out there, that has hit WFAN. I'm taking calls from California, Arizona, Florida,
Right.
North Carolina. We had this guy from Montana, another guy from Oregon that would call in. And
Yeah.
some of these guys are like, yeah, I follow you on Twitter. So like I see you on MLB Network during the day. And then when the games are over at night, you're talking about the Yankees, the Mets, and all of baseball. I tune into your show, especially the guys that are out west.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on till 2 a.m. It's not 2 a.m. for them. It's
Right.
11
Yeah.
p.m.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow. Your story is interesting. And then when you did that mock thing with Off Base with the MLB Network, after how many days did they say, okay, you're hired?
It was fast. I want to say if I go back and look at the calendar, it was all so fast, man. Opening day ended up being like April maybe 7th, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my rehearsals were like the 29th, 30th. I think by like I might have did like a Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back rehearsal day. By that weekend, they offered me. By Monday, I was signed, and we were doing the first episode. It took less than 2 weeks. A week of rehearsals. I would say a week it took from the time that I hit the stage, hit the set, to okay, I'm signed and I'm a part of this now.
You know, it's a great feeling. You know what it is? The feeling as if you're in AA or AAA, okay? And the manager of AAA calls you in his office and says, hey, you're going to the Bronx. That's the feeling you got.
Yeah, you're going to the show. You've been working
going
hard.
To the big leagues now. You're a big leaguer, my man. You are a big leaguer. You know why? You know why I did the MLB fan cave? Because I always wanted to be a Major League Baseball player, right? That was my dream. But I said to myself, I will give up acting for 6 months just to say that I was part of MLB. On that resume, Major League Baseball. Like, I was a big leaguer for 6 months. That's the bottom line.
You were one of the first.
Yeah.
And there were thousands of people that applied to do that. And for you to be selected out of that, it was a casting. I was casted.
Right.
You were chosen after they reviewed. I'm sure you had to send in a video.
Oh, yeah. I did. You know, I broke the rules. My audition video, they said 2 minutes. I did it 4 minutes. I was in the zone. I broke every rule.
You cheated. I kept mine under 2 minutes. I was in my bedroom with like my Yankees hat on and like a banner in the background.
No, I was in LA.
4-minute movie.
Yeah, I was in LA. And, you know, people told me, Eddie, you got to do this, man. You are Mr. Baseball. Because here's the thing. I'm a diehard Yankees fan, but I'm also a diehard baseball fan. Listen.
Sure.
I'm realistic. When I say the 2018 Red Sox were better than the Yankees in 2018, they were fucking better. It's just that simple. You know what I mean? I can't be like,
not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. If I was part of Dodger Town. I mean, I wasn't a Dodger fan, but Keith, they spoiled me down there. I mean, I was a batting instructor while I was auditioning in LA.
Wow.
So most of the parents will be like, Eddie, I got these gangster seats. According to you, I call them gangster seats. So the gangster seats, it's like Legends, but it's called, Dugout Club in LA.
Yeah,
the
in
Dodger
Stadium.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's like, holy shit, I am spoiled, but I always rock the Yankee shirt. I was like, I didn't give a fuck, man.
There's a ton of Yankees fans out there.
Yeah, exactly. So, the fact that you could say you're part of MLB, dude, you're in the big leagues, man. You're there.
Yeah, I'm blessed.
But here's the thing, what I want to ask you. Out of all those years you were struggling, was it worth struggling all those years and to say to yourself, here I am? Wasn't it worth it?
The struggle a lot of times happens in the dark, right? People, there's a saying, it's like, you grind in the dark so you can shine in the light. I would do it all over again. Yeah. I would probably do some of it differently. There was probably added struggle that I didn't need to go through, but I just was striking out. And
you learn from it. You
learn from everything. You learn from everything.
It's like being a ball player, man. Every day you come out to the park, you got to go hacking, man. Yeah, you're going to strike out. Yeah, you're going to go through slumps, but you got to still grind, man.
It's the process, right?
Yeah.
Like that process helped make me who I am. I always tell people that I drove Lyft Uber because I remember there was like a stigmatism around driving Lyft Uber. People try to reduce you to being like some type of bum. It's like, well, first off, I have a car. Second off, I have gas money. So let's just start there. You can't be a bum if you have a car and gas money. Like you're obviously doing something. And it's ride sharing. You know what I learned through that? I learned how to drive all around New York and New Jersey. There's not one place in New York and New Jersey that I drive now that I'm scared or I'm lost, because Lyft Uber is going to take you all through the North Jersey. And people always need to go from Hoboken and Jersey City into Brooklyn or to the airports. I learned that. So now I drive myself around the city. People are like, you take the train? I'm like, no, I drive because I'm comfortable doing that because I have 700 Lyft Uber rides. And then also it reduces you to just a driver at first, but you get people from all walks of life that get in your car, and then you have a conversation with them. And then you start to see you start to really see yourself, right? Okay, somebody's going to get in the car and they're going to tell you, hey, just drive, cut this, radio station on. Can you do this? And treat you like you're nothing. But then other people are going to get in the car. Like I met some influential people, some rich people, some people that like had money and they wanted to have full on conversations with me. There were people that gave me motivation that said, hey, man, keep doing what you're doing. Some people ask, hey, is this your career? Is this your full-time gig? And I would say, no. I'm like, this is temporary. This is something I'm doing while I'm in between. I do this, I do this, I do this, and I'm going to do this. But this is something I got to do right now to make a couple dollars so that I can pay my rent, so that I can eat, so that I can take my wife somewhere. Like, I worked at a restaurant, right? I'm the guy. I had no restaurant experience, but I needed to get out of the house in late 2018 when I had struck out from Foot Locker and MLB, right? Similar to like I told you, I was about to go work at Home Depot if MTV2 didn't connect. I'm a hustler. I'm a grinder. I wasn't looking at myself like I'm too good to work, any type of job. No, there needs to be more people in our society willing to go to work, right? Willing to like be a part of society and humble yourself. You're not that great. Service someone else. Like be a part of this whole ecosystem. So I was ready to do that twice. And I did. I ended up working at this place called House of Q right by the ferry in Weehawken. No restaurant experience, but they took me in because I had a friend that said, hey, this guy is talented. He's just struggling right now. But he's not even struggling. Like I remember him talking in front of me. He's like, this guy is going to be great. But like he needs a job right now so he doesn't lose his mind in the house as he's striking out and not getting interviews. And I worked there for 2 months. I worked there for 2 months as a host. People coming in, hey, how you doing? How many you got? 4? Okay, here's 4 menus. Right this way, I got a table for you. And I'm sitting people down and I'm making like ketchup packets or to-go bags and taking calls or whatever. But I humbled myself, right?
Yeah.
3 months after I took that job, not even a little longer. I took that job in like February, March. Fast forward, September comes back around. I end up moving into the apartment complex right next to that place. And I get to show up there with my wife, her dad, and his girlfriend at the time. And my commercial is on the screen. This is a sports bar. They've got the Yankees on, and my Yes Network commercial comes on. And now I get to have that moment sitting in the restaurant. Some of the people still working there that I worked with looking up like, that's me. Yeah. I told you guys in February, March that I was grinding out here, that I was working out here, that this was temporary. You will see me again, but you won't see me in here. Fast forward to September of the following or of the same year, just fast forward through a summer. I'm on the big screen in there watching Sunday football, and my face comes up. So it's like, I like to share my story, and I like to tell people that'll listen because there's somebody out there that needs to know, like, you got to sacrifice. You got to go through it to get to it. Nothing easy, nothing worth having comes easy, right? I'm not an overnight success. I'm still working. I'm still figuring stuff out. But I was able to get to where I wanted to go by betting on myself, by humbling myself, and not being stuck on one thing or listening to other people, just like following like my gut and what I felt.
Right. And Keith, that the support you have from your lovely wife, girlfriend at the time. And, I want to know this picture right here. When you met your girl, who hit on who? That's what I want to know.
We were friends. So that's what I was saying. We were in college. We were friends before we dated.
And what's her name?
We were just in the Nicole.
Nicole, I just want to let you know you got a great husband and thank you for supporting him, okay? Through all those years he was sacrificing, she could have easily said, I just want to find a rich dude and fuck him. You know what I mean? I don't care about the right. I mean, how many?
I know.
You hear stories like that. Come on, let's be honest now, right?
I know that. Trust me, I know that.
Okay, so what happened? In college, you were friends, and then what?
We were friends in college. We started hanging out a little more. We were in the same circles. I had a house, a football house, where I was, the oldest guy on the team. A lot of the bills and stuff were in my name. I threw all the parties. I dealt with the police. I was the one buying the kegs. I was the one DJing.
So you were the father. You were the father.
I was the father of the football house that year, and she partied at my house a lot. And one of her friends was hooking up with one of my guys that lived there, and it just went from us being around each other to hooking up to being together. And like I said, man, I know that my girl saw me in college. Right, I used to wear a Yankee hat every day, to class. To everything. Like I'm in front of the class in media ethics giving a presentation with a Yankee hat on. And she believed in me, right? She was the one making sure, hey, you got to go to class. Hey, let me drive you to campus.
Wow.
That early. So like she was an early adopter, early believer. And I'm the type of person, man, I've had so many people hate on me. I've had so many people not believe in me. I've had so many people tell me what I couldn't do. When you
Hmm.
find someone that looks at you and believes your words and believes in you just as much as yourself, like you can't let people like that go. So,
And I'm sure, listen, and I'm sure there was a lot of other girls that liked you. I mean, you're a good-looking bastard, right? I mean, girls dig you, right? I mean, I'm sure,
yeah,
but I mean, come on,
I'm
let's be
not the
fucking
worst.
honest now, all right? Come on,
I'm
that's
not the
life.
worst. I'm not the worst looking guy. I'm not the best looking guy. But
But the
I
thing is, like, you had chances with other girls and all that stuff, but look what this girl. I mean, that's awesome. How
I
many
mean,
people could
one
say
real
that?
one good girl that's down for you, believes in you is worth 10,000 of these random girls. And like,
Right.
trust me, I had experiences when I was younger with other girls, other women, and that's what helped me realize, like, okay, this is my future wife. Like,
Yeah.
the world is a safer place since I'm not on the street running around
Right. Right.
like I could be, like I would have been if I didn't find my person. But life is hard, man. If you find someone that believes in you, that trusts you, that looks at you in the way that you look at yourself and sees you that way when the world doesn't. I'm sure there were people that told my girl, and I know for a fact that people did this because there were some dudes, back in college, like, oh, he's worthless. Why are you with him? He's a bum. He's never going to amount to anything. You could do better. You could do better. You
Right.
could do better. And she's looking at them like I could do better. Like, you don't know what this guy's going to be. You don't know what he's going to become. You don't know how much he's already had to overcome to be where he is now.
Right.
I see something special in him. I believe in him. I'm in his corner. And now, she reaps the benefits of that. Now,
Pretty much, we were talking about. I'm sure a lot of people will tell him, "Listen, you're a beautiful girl. What the fuck are you doing with him? Where is he going?" And obviously, her gut instinct
yeah,
is like, "This is the
yeah. I
guy, and I
wasn't
don't
always
care."
this, man. I was not always this. Like, that's what I just tell people. I'm like, the version of me that you see, my wife helped build that. My wife helped see that. Like, I wasn't always on TV. I wasn't always on radio. I wasn't always so mature. I used to get in trouble. Used to just drink and get arrested and, not have a lot going
Arrested.
on for me. I was broke. And, I was hanging out in places I shouldn't have been hanging out. So, like, that's another reason why I'm like, I know that I'm blessed because I didn't necessarily like always do the right things to get to where I was going. Everybody when they're young makes decisions that they would have regretted, or uh, you know, you want to party and you want to be out and you want to be in those circles because you think that's cool when you're young, and you don't
Right.
realize like you got to be working on your future. So like I'm saying, my girl recognized me back in college. My girl recognized me, under the age of 30, under the age of 25. Like, my girl met me when she was 18 and I was 20, 21. And
Wow.
fast forward, I'm 34 years old now, right? Like, she's seen it. She's been around for almost half my life. She's seen the process. She's seen me go through things. She's seen me get up, after falling on my ass and come back better. She's seen me figure it out. She's seen me triumph. And that the value that you have in another person, especially your significant other, that can share that with you, like, it's irreplaceable, right? I
Mhm.
could probably find the best looking woman in the world that she might be super attracted to me. That does not matter. Like, the value that I have in my wife is that she saw the journey. She was a part of the journey, a part of the process, and she believed before even some people in my family believed. Right? Like, I have
Right.
family members that didn't believe. I had family members like, you need to just go get any job, or you need to quit doing this, or stop wasting your time trying to be this.
No, no,
And
Keith.
my
You know
girl
what
was
they
just
get?
like,
You know
"No,
what
you
they
got
tell
it."
you? I guarantee you, get a real job, right? That's all they tell you, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I remember having those arguments with people in my family. Get a real job. Just get a real job. Like, you're unemployed. You're making videos online. You're going to games. You're wasting money going to games so you can make your videos and podcasts. You need to be focused on getting a real job. And it's just like, all right, whatever. Y'all don't understand. Imagine coming home to your wife twice. I quit MTV today. I didn't ask her for her consent or her permission to quit my jobs. When I quit my jobs, they kind of just, conversations went a certain way where I was like, I'm out. Like, all right, like, I don't think y'all value me. I don't think this is where I want to be. I did that at MTV. Came home, hey, so I don't work there anymore. Even with Rock Nation, like, hey, so today was my last day. Like, what do you mean today was your last day? Like, we got to figure it out for a little while. I'm gonna hustle. I'm gonna do some things, man. I remember like selling everything I had, from basketball shoes to DJ equipment to collector's items, baseball cards, just like, man, I just need to put a couple dollars together. And my wife was, she was down. She worked and I leaned on her at sometimes. But for the most part, like I said, I would go out there and hustle and grind. I never wanted it to be a long period of time where I didn't have a check or I didn't have money to provide or to take care of things. But like I said, man, if you find someone that believes in you young and stands by you, like, my whole thing is that, like, I wanted to be successful to like pay my wife back in a way, and she doesn't look at it like that, but I looked at it as like, hey, you trusted in me and believed in me. You're gonna reap the benefits of all this too. Like, your
Right.
student loan debt, I'm gonna wash your student loan debt. Like, you're not gonna have to worry about anything later on in life because you trusted in me, you believed in me. I'll take it from here.
Right. Well, you know what, Keith, serious, your story is amazing. And this is the reason why I wanted to interview you, because I said to myself, he's great, but I want to know his journey. And I want every kid that comes out of Syracuse University, with a, whatever university they come, but Syracuse is #1 in communication, right?
Sure.
And look, I don't have no degree in communication. I was a PE teacher when I graduated. So it's like, I know what it's like, but in nowadays, you create your own content and look what happens, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You sacrifice, you got a good woman, you got everything going your way now, but you had to pay the price.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're here. Yeah.
People don't know the sacrifice and the
Right.
grind, right? Like, people don't know setting your alarm at 5:30 in the morning so that you can, turn your Lyft Uber on and catch that morning commute, that morning rush for 4 or 5
And
hours trying to
hopefully it's
make
a
up.
long distance ride, right? So you can get more money.
Yeah, so you can knock that out, right? So
Right.
you can. I used to just set goals. I get in the car, like, I'm not getting out until I make $100. Like,
Right. And here's the thing, Keith, here's another question. When you talk about players on air, has any of the Yankees come up to you, or the Mets? They were like, yo, man, why you talking shit about me that I was doing this? Did that
nah.
ever
And
happen?
honestly, I don't talk that much shit about players. And when I do,
But
I
like,
do it
here,
in a way where, like,
for instance, how would you break down Joey Gallo, right? As a diehard Yankee fan, you're like, come on, what the fuck, man? We got you here. You fucking strike out. I mean, what's going on?
one of the worst Yankees we've seen in recent time, maybe all time at the plate. With Joey Gallo, my thing is like, hey, I don't hate Joey Gallo.
No, I don't hate him as a person.
I hate that the Yankees traded for Joey Gallo and they can't get the best out of Joey Gallo, and we're
Right.
forced to watch him strike out every night until they find another guy. What I'll say is this: you never know who's listening to the radio, right? I was able to connect with Bernie Williams this year, who, when I was a kid, I dressed up as Bernie Williams for Halloween. I thought Bernie Williams was the only black player on the Yankees until I was in like 6th grade, started reading up on him and figured out he was Puerto Rican. But, when you're a little black kid wearing a Yankee uniform for Halloween, you can't tell people you're Tino Martinez. You can't be Scott Brocious. I'm Bernie Williams.
Right.
And through the radio, I was able to connect with Bernie Williams, where he invited me to his celebrity softball game this year. And he told me he was a fan of me. He's like, you're the next generation. You're the young whippersnapper on the radio. We like your energy. We like your vibe. Like, we want you to be a part of what we're doing. And that was a full circle moment for me. When I played baseball as a kid, I played center field. I was fast. And when I first started playing center field, I'm looking at Bernie Williams and how he played center field. I couldn't switch hit, but, I wanted to make clutch hits like Bernie. And Bernie was part of, the 98 Yankees that really got me into baseball. And for me to be in 2022 on the radio, and Bernie Williams' manager, Steve, shout out to Steve, like, reach out to me like, hey, Bernie's a fan. He wants to come on your show. Like, Bernie came on my show, and then we did the softball game together. And now we're connected. He'll be on my podcast soon with Sweeney Murdy. And then, like, current players, Nestor Cortez. And I know the Yankees probably tell them not to listen to the radio, but that's why I say you never know who's listening. He said his wife listens to the radio. And he reached out to me on Twitter. I followed him. He followed me back. He sent me a DM. He's like, you're the GOAT, bro. I listen to your show. You kill it. You're fair. You're honest, but you keep it real. And I'm like, yo, you're the man. Like, you're like our favorite right now. Like, in this rotation, when it's Nestor night, it's nasty Nestor night, I'm like, you're already a cult classic because you beat the odds to become what you've become with the New York Yankees. He called into my show, showed love. So for me, that those type of things are full circle. I haven't run into anyone yet that was like, oh, you said anything about me, because I really don't kill players like that. Like Aroldis Chapman, I went on a rant about him being done, but it wasn't so much knocking him. I just was mad the night that he went in, couldn't get the job done, and the Yankees got to rush Michael King in there, and then Michael King ends up throwing his arm out, ending his season, and I'm looking at Chapman like, if this guy could have got the job done, maybe we avoid this injury, and maybe we don't. But, like, I was just like, enough with Aroldis Chapman. Have you seen Aroldis Chapman pitch for the Yankees in the last couple weeks? No, he's on the mend. But do you think they're going to give him the opportunity to blow a game in October? Hell no. I was on that earlier in the season. Enough with Chapman. I don't care what he makes. There's enough talent in this Yankees bullpen. You don't need to keep running him out there because he's Aroldis Chapman and you want it to work. The guy, he walks guys. He's got 2 pitches. He's got no command. He's not the Aroldis Chapman that he used to be. This is his last year on the Yankees. Move on. But that doesn't mean I hate Aroldis Chapman. If I saw him, I'd shake his hand. Hey, nice to meet you, bro. You've had a hell of a career. But as of right now, you're not the closer of the New York Yankees.
As a radio guy, you have to have an opinion. You have to have a strong point of view. You know, like, you can't be like, you can't kiss his ass. Oh, Chapman, no big deal. No, my man, you're not.
And I got no reason to. The Yankees don't pay me, and like, I may never run into these guys. And even if I do run into these guys, I'm not shook at anything I said. Like, oh man, I got to watch my back because I said Aroldis Chapman sucks. I'm not talking about you as a person. I'm talking about your performance. I'm talking about what you do for the team that I love and root for and want to see win a World Series. And I would do that no matter who it is. I've done that my whole life, criticizing players. That's what we all do. You know, if they're not good enough, they're not good enough. This is the New York Yankees. But I don't know. Maybe one day it'll catch up to me where someone hears my take or something I say and they try and check me or challenge me on it. But
no, but you know what's
I'm good with that
Keith?
too.
Watch, Keith. One of the Yankees be like, yo, listen, I listened to you. As much as you criticized me, I deserve it, man. Hell of a job.
I think the real ones understand that I'm a fan. I'm in the stadium, whether I'm in the bleachers with the creatures in 203 or I'm in the suites, I'm in Legends behind home plate, whatever. I'm in there. I'm invested, and I've been for years, right? I want to win. I want to win a World Series. I feel like these young kids that missed 2009, right? There's a whole generation of young fans online that are itching to see the Yankees get back to a World Series and win one because they listen to guys like me, where I stepped into baseball fandom watching the Yankees win 3 World Series, 4 World Series, 5 World Series, and thinking they were going to run the table. So I think the current Yankees have a chance to get it done. I'm glad that Nestor is one guy on the team that I've connected with. I met Jose Trevino. He showed me love too.
Were you at the Jeter premiere at Tribeca? Were you?
I was at the Jeter screening at Yankee Stadium a few months back.
Yeah.
I did not get to the one in Tribeca. I think I might have had something to do.
Premiere, yeah.
I bet that was awesome. I bet that was cool.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, and Nestor was there. No, not Nestor. Trevino.
Trevino was there. He loves Jeter. Big Yankees fan.
He's looking at me, and I'm looking at him. I'm like, yo, this guy looks familiar. He does not look like a ball player with regular clothes on. You know what I mean? No. I'm like, who is this guy? And all of a sudden, I look at pictures the next day, and I'm like, oh my God, I could have talked to this guy. What the fuck's wrong?
Jose Trevino, unassuming, quiet, reserved, but glad that the Yankees went and made a trade for him. And he grew up a Yankees fan.
Yeah, and, my take on the Yankees, and I always say this, because when I watch a game, Keith, I'm watching it like I'm fucking Aaron Boone. I'm in the dugout, especially October, I'm fucking nuts, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I say to myself, okay, psychologically, I look at body language. Like with Joey Gallo, when he comes up to the plate, look at his body language, weak, right? I look at how these guys pitch, because sometimes I sit right behind home. I mean, Legends, I'm lucky. And it's like, all right, how's he feeling today? All right. I'm crazy like that. I look at, because I know he's talented, but what's he feeling that day?
Sure. That's body language tells you a lot. Yeah. When the Yankees were struggling, I was saying, I'm like, these guys look like they're already beat. They look like they don't want to be there. They look like they're uninterested.
Yeah.
They look like they can't get a hit. They can't score a run. They got to look like now they're starting to hit a stride. And
here's what I'm going to tell you, Keith. And you can mention this on air if you want. I don't care. I'm not the guy. Give me a shout out. I'm not that guy. But if you don't hit with 2 outs of men in scoring position, you're not gonna advance. You're not gonna go anywhere.
Whole game, man. 2-out damage. That's what I always say. I need 2-out damage.
2-out
When
damage.
they're thinking they're out, you do damage, and that changes the game, right?
Because men in scoring position in October with 2 outs, don't try to go guerrilla baseball. That pitcher, his team is there for a reason because they're good.
It's the best of the best. When you get to October in that tournament, it's the best pitchers, best hitters, best managers, best teams, and the margin for error is so small.
Right. And you will see in October a lot of base running mistakes that I noticed in October throughout the years. But it's not like the Dynasty Yankees. With 2 outs, all they want to do is hit a single with men in scoring position. And they kept the water running, man.
Oh, yeah. Pass the baton. Next guy, get up. Yep.
Next guy up, right? And it's like, I'm not making the last out. That was the Yankees mentality. I am not making the last out. You think, when we were growing up, you think Aaron Hicks would have a job right now?
Hell no.
No way. You batting 220 in the league? No way.
No, man. And he keeps getting opportunities, and he wouldn't be allowed. Like, you know, something I've said on the radio, getting to meet Mariano during the celebrity softball game with Bertie Williams. These guys were competitive playing against the Ridgefield community softball team.
Yeah.
There was a pedigree, and there was a standard of excellence in their clubhouse. And I'm sure Judge tries to like set some type of tone because he's the most excellent. But I feel like the Yankees that we grew up on, they were super competitive, and they held everyone to a higher standard. Everyone had to be accountable. You weren't allowed to go out there and suck. You weren't allowed to go out there and make errors. You weren't allowed to bring the team down because you couldn't come through. Like, they just didn't have it.
But you know what's embarrassing too is, like, you know, when I talk to former Yankees like Jeff Nelson and all those guys, and I'm like,
Jeff
even
too.
though you're a pitcher, but when you're a hitter and you look at the Jumbotron, 230, 240, and it's April, May, you're like, what the fuck? That's embarrassing, isn't it? He goes, absolutely.
Lower than that.
Right.
230, 240. That'd be one of the higher averages on the Yankees. Lower than that.
Remember,
some of these guys are batting.
It's in the 90s. I'm talking about the 90s, you know, but now 220.
Back then in the 90s,
Yeah, you know, 220 is acceptable. I'm like, what? You would get cut, man. You don't have a job. You know?
Different times.
Yeah, man.
Analytics now. Analytics say, batting average doesn't matter. It does.
Yeah, it does matter, man. 2-out hits. But, man, we got a lot of studs that are missing right now. And those hitters, man, like ever since Carpenter went down, those were the times when they were losing series like crazy.
Michael King was the biggest loss to me. And I said on air, I saw this team in October relying on Michael King to get big outs. And when he went down, I was crushed that night. I'm like, that is a huge blow. But yeah, DJ LeMahieu, Anthony Rizzo, Andrew Benintendi, you need those guys. Harrison Bader is on the mend. Let's see what these guys look like in 3-4 weeks. Let's see what these guys look like that first week of October when everybody should be healthy. They win a division. They get that bye week. That's going to be huge. Like, we could see a Yankees team at full strength that we haven't to see all year because they haven't all been healthy together at the same time.
Yeah. And with the Yankees, you know what I predicted, Keith, in the beginning of the year? I said, I think Toronto's going to win the division. I was honest. I was like,
everybody. People had the Yankees finish 3rd or 4th. People were like, it's going to be Toronto, Tampa, and since the Red Sox made a run in the postseason last year, people were figuring the Red Sox would be up there in 3rd. Right. They said it would be the Yankees 3rd or 4th in the AL East.
Yeah. Oh, man, it was so much fun talking to you, man. Seriously, I love talking to you. I'm sure you enjoyed this interview with your journey. I don't think people, you know, like, I don't know. I didn't watch your other interviews, to be honest. I said to myself, I don't think people ask him how he got there. Did they ever tell you, like, it's being specific like me, like your journey?
I think I did some podcasts in 2020 when we were all stuck in the house doing quarantine where, they did want to know, how I got to where I got. But like, that was when I was, like doing Yes Network stuff and some John Boy stuff. This is the first podcast I've done since I've been on the radio and television, talking about my journey in my career. Right. And I think that's important for people to hear. When you said to me, I didn't know if you were going to want to talk Yankees the whole time, but you said to me, no, I'm going to ask you questions about how you did it, about how you got here, your why, your reasons. And like, that always needs to be shared. Because I grew up watching people's documentaries and stories and interviews, And it gave me hope. Okay, this guy grew up without his dad too, or this guy grew up broke as well, or
Well,
oh,
you
this
know,
guy played
yeah.
sports but didn't make it and found another way to
Well,
be
you know, I'm
successful.
similar. I'm similar to you. You know, I'm single mom. You know, me and my brother. You know, I grew up in the projects, Brooklyn, Canarsie. You know, what I mean, we didn't have anything back then. You know, so it's like working your way up, and I get it, man. I've been in
Yeah,
your shoes.
you understand what it's like
Right.
to come from something or from nothing to something. You
Right.
understand that if no one
Exactly.
was putting your name on top of resumes, you didn't have a dad in the industry or
Right. And I
a
don't play
mom
the
who did
yeah.
something like
And I don't play the
it's a
victim
lot
card.
harder.
I don't play the victim card.
No, I
Oh, well, I
don't.
grew up without a father, so I'm a criminal. Or this. I don't play that. Oh, that's all in the
I'm about to
fucking
say,
head.
if you played the victim card, you wouldn't be successful, right?
Right.
Like same with
Exactly.
me. If I played the victim card, I'd be looking for sympathy. I'd be looking for excuses or making excuses.
Right.
I throw that out there just to let people know, like the odds were stacked against me. I played the hand that I was dealt, and I won. And you can win too if you feel like the cards are stacked against you. But are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to go the route less traveled? Are you willing to humble yourself for a couple months? Right? You know, some people
Well,
don't realize
egos,
like
egos get in the way
you
too.
got to defeat your own
Yeah.
ego. I had to
Right.
defeat my own ego of myself and who I thought I was, and that was the best thing for me. It
Yeah.
helps you now. It helps me now, right? When people meet me now, they're like, "You're so humble," or "You're so kind to everyone." I'm like, "Yeah, I know not to be an asshole. I know not to be a dickhead because life humbled me a long time ago. Because I struggled. Because I came from nothing. So what I have now, I'm thankful for, and I don't look at anyone else differently. I don't treat anyone like they're underneath me. I'm
Right.
happy to be where I am, and I'm grateful for anyone that gives me their time of day."
Exactly. Well, you know, I always tell people if you're healthy, you're spoiled. That's the bottom line.
Sure.
Because there's people that have physical limitations. People fight every day to stay alive. People fight every day to be pain free. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And what's our excuse, right? I mean, we can't be like, oh, well,
That's
you know.
That's how I've always felt, man. Even when I didn't have opportunity knocking at the door, when I didn't have things, I'm like, I have my health. I'm young. I'm athletic. I can get up. I can go and work, right? Like I can get in this car and drive for 4 hours to make $100 or whatever it is. I'm able-bodied. Like there's no excuse for me to be sitting on the couch playing Xbox. There's no excuse for me to be sitting here watching Netflix all day. There's no excuse. Like get off your ass and go make it happen. You have the same 24 hours as everyone else. And like I said, man, with this internet stuff, I had a feeling. I'm like, man, there are less talented people than me making a name for themselves. There are less talented people than me figuring it out on the internet. Let me sit down for a couple months and not go report to someone's desk job for 50 hours a week. Let me just sit down for a couple months and get my shit off the ground and see where it could take me. And here we are.
Here we are. Keith McPherson. Listen, you've been awesome. You've been great. We're going to end the broadcast.
Yo, what's up? It's Keith McPherson from MLB Network and WFAN. Just wrapped up a great interview with Eddie Mata. Who is Eddie Mata? Man, he's the guy. You got to check him out. Subscribe to all of his stuff, Facebook, Twitter. Check him out, Eddie Mata. And make sure you check my interview out as well.